Okay, so supposedly it would seem, and this was like relatively new, it seems like 343 Industries, who have been making, the recent Halo games, Halo 4, Halo Infinite, they have restarted their studio, or essentially renamed. But let's check out this New Dawn trailer.
Chris Matthews, take one. Mark.
This is Casey Wu, take one. Mark.
I was told that I can just be my authentic self, Chris.
For 6 years, I don't want to be in front of a camera.
There's so much to do and so much fun to be had when you play Halo that I feel like I never run out of things to do.
I love intricate stories that take place across lots of different worlds, have lots of different meaningful characters.
What made Halo successful at the beginning? What is the legacy of Halo, and what's the soul that we want to bring forward, and what's the craft of making Halo games, and how do we set our studio at best to go deliver on that?
When I first heard about Halo moving to Unreal Engine, my first thought was, this is going to be a really hard secret to keep.
So they're moving to Unreal. So they've changed over to UE a while ago, Unreal Engine that is. I wonder how long it's been.
Being true.
Okay. Okay, so this is some footage from Unreal Engine 5.
It's not a game, it's a research project for our studio so we can prepare ourselves for the next steps of making Halo games.
Okay. I mean, Unreal Engine looks gorgeous. Let's be frank here. Work in progress. Flood, nice.
The potential at Halo right now is huge.
Halo Infinite was the last remnants of how we made Halo games in the past. That was our recipe. And what we are doing right now, we're changing that recipe.
Okay, so it's just Halo Studios now. That is very interesting. Halo Studios' new name, new engine, new games, new philosophy. Ahead of the final match of today's 2024 Halo World Championship, we saw an unexpected video. It depicted landscapes you might expect from the Halo series. Forerunner architecture. That's one thing that I really loved about Halo, is just the mythology and the lore that backed up everything that happened in the universe of Halo. I love the idea of the Forerunners, of the precursors, all that kind of ancient stuff. I just enjoy that kind of shit in my sci-fi. But what we saw wasn't a look back. This was something entirely new. We were entering a new dawn for Halo. Those new visuals were created using Unreal Engine 5, and we learned that all future Halo projects will use the engine, and that multiple new games using it are in development. Alongside the engine change, the studio is seeing changes in culture, workflow, and how its teams are organized to match the new approach. Franchise stewards 343 Industries are changing their name. Halo Studios is here. So essentially, they're just rebooting the studio in a way. Name change, structural change, change in engine. Okay, like they're trying to revamp everything and start from the beginning essentially, or not start from the ground up maybe, because they all seem to have experience working on Halo, but still. So we're not just trying to improve the efficiency of development, but change the recipe of how we make Halo games. So we start a new chapter today. First step, switching from the studio's proprietary Slipspace engine to Unreal is a key part of that change. Previously, 343 Industries needed a large portion of its staff simply to develop and upkeep the engine its games ran on. This kind of sounds like Frostbite and BioWare, honestly. Now, BioWare didn't create the Frostbite. That was DICE here in Sweden. And then, EA essentially let every studio that kind of were under them to use the Frostbite engine if they wanted to, supposedly. And BioWare ran with it, and we saw what happened when they started using the Frostbite engine. There was a lot of issues, a lot of troubles. There were so many development issues between Mass Effect Andromeda to, of course, Dragon Age to Anthem. It's been like a complete show behind the scenes we've learned through the years, but they're switching to Unreal Engine 5. It kind of just reminds me of the same situation here. It's not, I'm not surprised here that they do that. So it might have been like a big issue just to, as they say here, upkeep the Slipspace engine, because, they made it themselves, and, they have to create assets from scratch and stuff like that. That takes time. That takes much effort and time. I've heard some conflicting information. Some people say that Unreal Engine 5 is really good. Some people say that it can be pretty complicated and advanced. I'm hearing a lot of good stuff as well, because you can share information with other studios and you can work together on things and, share assets and stuff. We'll find out if Unreal Engine 5 is good when the new Mass Effect is released. I think Unreal Engine is probably better than Frostbite. I would probably bet money on that. It's probably better because you can communicate with so many developers and get help from other studios that are also working with it. We believe that the consumptions habits of gamers have changed the expectations of how fast their content is available. On Halo Infinite, we were developing a tech stack that was supposed to set us up for the future in games at the same time. As gaming evolves and players increasingly point out how long it takes to see new games from their favorite series, the team at Halo Studios felt the need to react. As COO Elizabeth Van Wyck puts it, the way we made Halo games before doesn't necessarily work as well for the way we want to make games for the future. So part of the conversation we had was about how we help the team focus on making games versus making the tools and the engines. I see. So okay, so according to Elizabeth here, it seems like, okay, so they put way too much time and effort into upkeep of the engine and structure of the company instead of actually working on the game and making it more fun. So they've essentially moved on with Unreal Engine 5 just because it's easier. They can focus on actually making the game, testing the game, having fun, making sure it's fun. I get that. That sounds like a reasonable thing to do, especially after what it seems like here has been like a big issue for why it seems like the game just hasn't been fun. Okay, that's good. That's actually good. But Unreal also comes with inbuilt benefits that would have taken years of work to replicate with Slipspace. Yeah, also it's like a question of time and economics. Like, is it worth just recreating everything in a proprietary engine, sort of like with Frostbite? Or isn't it just cheaper in the long run to just go with a licensed engine? Yes, you have to pay a licensing fee, but still, like, you're getting work done. You can get that work done much more quickly and more effectively and push it out so you get more customers and more fans, and you can try it out yourself to see if it is actually fun. It's just, in a long run, it seems like it's smarter to invest in licensed engines instead. I know, you know, a lot of these games are probably going to look a little bit samey because it's Unreal Engine 5, but then again, a lot of studios, as I mentioned, they do create their own assets even with Unreal, so, you know. Alas, I'm very happy they use Unreal. Unreal development is incredibly advanced. Yeah, I've seen some demos about it and stuff. It's pretty insane, but it's also like one thing that I've seen people mention, developers say, that it can be difficult to understand it if you're getting in on Unreal and you're a beginner, for example. But still, I think it's probably for the best, honestly, just looking at it. There's another inbuilt benefit. Unreal is familiar to huge parts of the wider gaming industry. True, where developers would have to spend time learning how to use Slipspace when joining 343, Halo Studios' adoption of the industry-leading engine makes it a far smoother process to bring in new talent. Yeah, that's a net positive too, for sure, because much more people know about how to use Unreal than, you know, of course, Slipspace, because then they have to be onboarded and they have to like learn how to use the engine. Oh yeah, how long does it take to ramp somebody up to be able to actually create assets? Exactly. That's a big issue. Always a big issue when it comes to onboarding people for using an engine that is like internal. Like, that is always a thing. It's in basically every company. Other companies that I've worked for, whenever you're like supposed to learn how to use a certain program that only the company internally uses, that they've made themselves, it's like, oh God, what is this? I don't know what this is. It's just a waste of time, really, a time and effort. One big reason why CDPR stated that they went Unreal was because they didn't need to train staff on their own engines. That is a major factor. Yeah, I think that is probably the biggest factor. Time and money. It's like, it's, you know, it's just better overall. And it's on the plus side, it's just better for fans as well, because you can get content quicker. You have these studios communicating with each other, helping each other out. It's a net positive, I think. I think this is actually really good news. I wasn't sure about this when I heard this at first, and I haven't really cared too much about 343 and Halo Infinite. But I'm looking forward to hearing like how this will proceed. Like, how will this work? I understand what they mean now by a change of philosophy, because they've really revamped how they're gonna make stuff, it sounds good.